Welcome to the lounge. Please do come in. We truly hope you enjoy your stay.
If you love to travel and want to stay in the loop with all the latest tips, reviews, and updates, be sure to hit that subscribe button and don't forget to like and share. We do appreciate the support. Let's first take a look at Tujuwan Lounge, Bali, by the numbers. We'll give you a quick look at the opening hours, location, conditions, and what this lounge has to offer. Now, this lounge has been rebranded from the old Premier Lounge, and that lounge received a lot of negative reviews, from the type and quality of food they had, to overcrowdedness, to the overall cleanliness of the lounge. And these bad reviews went on and on. Now, the new rebranded Tujuwan Lounge has had some mixed reviews. So now we're going to attempt to show you everything this lounge has to offer, give you our thoughts, so you can determine whether this lounge is worth it for you. And here was our flight for the day, a short 2-hour and 45-minute flight from Bali to Singapore, and we'll be flying on Singapore Airlines 787-10's luxurious business class. Now let's look at how to get there. First of all, obviously, you have to get to the airport. We had a driver during our week in Bali. He took us to the airport. Very nice guy. Now this is very important. Get to the airport early. Between check-in, security, and passport control, there was over a 2-hour wait time. Now, your mileage may vary, but why take the chance? Which is odd, when arriving in Bali, the process was very quick. Leaving, not so much. Fortunately, we were flying business class, so we were fast-tracked through check-in. I'd say this airport is nice, interesting, and a little unique. But all we really wanted to do now was find the lounge and relax before our flight. And here we are. This section has a few lounges upstairs. First off is the Concordia Lounge, which is the Priority Pass Lounge. There was also the Garuda Lounge, which is the Sky Team Lounge. And then you have the Tujuwan Lounge. The lounge we'll be reviewing today. We have access to this lounge by way of flying Singapore Airlines business class. Now that we've chosen which lounge we're going to, we have another decision to make. Elevator or stairs? Both will take you up to the promenade where the lounges are. It was kinda nice on the promenade, away from all the hustle and bustle of the airport. Now, we could have also went to the Concordia Lounge, being a part of Priority Pass, but we were really interested to see if the Tujuwan Lounge was any better than its predecessor. As we enter the lounge here, you can see which airlines are in alliance with this lounge, and there's our airline near the bottom, Singapore Airlines. And with all these airlines associated, the lounge can get a little crowded. And over here on the right, you can still see the plaque from the previous lounge, the Premier Lounge. Now let's go inside and see if those old reviews still stand, or this lounge has changed for the better. Well, I did like the entrance. That's a start. But let's first take a look inside and check out the space. The lounge covers 2 floors. This is the top floor. The design here is either dated or unique. You decide. The lounge on this floor really isn't that big, but it had plenty of seating for us, as it wasn't that crowded this evening. And when we first walked in, they had mentioned that there is no central air conditioning on this floor. They only had it on the lower level. There was also this nice little bar upstairs with some seating. And of course, they had the standard departure board. Now, as we look at some of the decor, I should mention, no matter how you feel about the food or the decor here, the staff and customer service were exceptional. So as we now move outside on the top floor, they have a terrace overlooking the inside of the airport. And even though this terrace wasn't technically outside, it was still kind of nice. It was a little hot and humid in the terminal, and the top floor of the lounge had a few of these portable air conditioning units that didn't really help much. So we decided to take a walk downstairs to the room with the real air conditioning. This room was a little smaller than the room upstairs, with pretty much the same food and drink options. We'll get to that later. And I think I'd have to say the decor is a little more modern, I guess, than upstairs. And as soon as you got downstairs, you could feel that air conditioning. It was cold. Actually, a little too cold for us. but we stuck around to check out the room. They had a nice little bar with stools in the corner like they did upstairs. You had a few departure boards conveniently located around the room. And then they had this water light artwork thing. It was interesting. Now let's take a look at our food and drink options. Like we just mentioned, both upstairs and downstairs pretty much had the same food selections. Now many of the previous negative reviews were pertaining to the food, so I think we should try some and see for ourselves. Now, I wouldn't say there was a large selection of food options here, but the food tables were laid out well and they were kept clean, and there was a decent variety. Now let's give you a look at the hot food options. They also had these pre-made soup bowls with a hard-boiled egg. All you had to do was add the soup, which I did. They also had some pre-made sandwiches, which I tend to avoid at lounges, just my own personal preference. And what's a lounge in Bali without some fresh fruit? They also had makings for a salad. And to finish your meal, why not grab a dessert or two? Now let's segue to some of the drinks at the lounge. Like we mentioned earlier, there's a bar upstairs and downstairs. They had some infused water, which was actually quite refreshing. They also had some fresh fruit juice, or maybe it was fresh from a carton. I'm not too sure on that one. They had a fridge upstairs and downstairs, filled with water and a variety of sodas. And if you wanted a more detailed look at your beverage options, scan the QR code and you can see the full drink menu. I believe we tried at least 2 of the drinks off the menu for test purposes only. So now it was time to find our seats, get some food and drinks, and relax before our flight. So we found a nice spot to sit on the terrace. It was pretty empty in the lounge. So we felt pretty fortunate seeing that a line started to form at the lounge next door. Okay, back to our food and drinks. I started off with the soup we showed you earlier, and actually, it was pretty good. Then we decided to sample a variety of dishes just to get a taste of what the lounge had to offer. The food here definitely was not on par with that of a business lounge, but the food was okay. We really had no issues. Now I think this lounge was on par with other lounges in this airport, so if you basically just wanted a snack, something to drink, and relax before your flight, I think this lounge checked all the boxes. And nothing says breakfast in Bali more than a beer and a lychee martini. The beer wasn't great, but the martini was quite strong. Now, let's take a very quick look at the bathrooms in the lounge. The bathrooms themselves, just like the lounge, weren't that big. They had a fairly plain aesthetic, and they were somewhat clean, but they were well stocked. That's always a good sign. Now let's take a look at the lounge's charging, internet, and Wi-Fi. They had a decent amount of ports and outlets throughout the room. Now there were some previous complaints about some of the charging ports around the lounge not working. We tried a few, and they all seemed to work just fine. Maybe we were just lucky. Next up, we checked the Wi-Fi in the lounge, and the speeds were fine. Now, you're not going to be watching or downloading any 4K movies, but for texting, sending emails, and surfing the web, you shouldn't have any issues. Now we're going to look at some of the extras in the lounge. Alright, this lounge really didn't have a lot of extras, but we'll show you what they had. First off, they had a shower that was in the bathroom. The shower wasn't the cleanest, but if you really needed a shower, you had one. And make sure you check ahead that the shower is open and not under maintenance. And as we mentioned earlier, they have this nice little terrace on the top floor of the lounge overlooking the terminal. And those portable air conditioning units that they had scattered around the top floor of the lounge really only worked when you were passing right in front of it. That's something. What I did like is when you leave the lounge from the downstairs section, they have this glass door that leads right to the gates, so you don't have to go back upstairs towards the elevator and back down. It just makes it more convenient. Now it was time to find our gate, and get ready for our 2-hour and 45-minute flight to Singapore on Singapore Airlines 787-10 in business class. The service on this flight was incredible, the seats were comfortable, and the food was impeccable. Make sure to keep an eye out as we have a review coming out on this magnificent flight. Now for some final thoughts on the Tujuwan lounge. I would certainly not consider this lounge on the same level as most business class lounges, but I think it was definitely better than some of the bad reviews made it out to be, at least in our case. Your experience might differ. If so, let us know in the comments. I hope this helps you the next time you visit Bali. Safe travels. If you love to travel and want to stay in the loop with all the latest tips, reviews, and updates, be sure to hit that subscribe button, and don't forget to like and share. We do appreciate the support.